And we've talked about this in the past, Kit, all of the environmental racism on the southeast side. And we ourselves have asked, where's the EPA? Well, the southeast side is overburdened with pollution amid metal scrapper fight, air quality report says, but it's below the EPA benchmark for concern. The findings come as activists continue to pressure the Chicago Department of Public Health to reject plans for Southside Recycling, a controversial metal scrapper planned for the east side. The findings come as Southeast Side activists and neighbors continue to pressure. Okay, they just repeated that headline in the article. It follows the city's own air quality and health report released in 2020 that found South and West Side communities bisected by major highways with a high concentrations of industry. Communities like the Southeast Side are disproportionately affected by pollution. CDPH and EPA leaders hosted a meeting Thursday night on the health impact assessment that will inform whether the city grants an operating permit for Reserve Management Group to open Southside Recycling in the east side. Reserve Management Group owns the defunct Northside scrapper General Iron's assets, and we covered a protest against General Iron. Actually, it was like, I think the first week that I joined the network. So we're coming full circle here with Adam Toledo and General Iron from February. This week's meeting was the first of 3 planned sessions to share the findings of the EPA's October 21st air quality analysis of Southeast Chicago. And there you go. There's Southeast Chicago there. There's one of those, the planned location for Southside Recycling. The air quality study started in April of 2021 in response to arguments long made by Southeast Side neighbors and activists concerned about air quality and how it would be affected if Reserve Management Group opens another metal scrapper in the area. Air quality samples were taken at 2 monitoring sites, George Washington High School at 353 East 114th Street and South Water Filtration Plant at 3300 East Cheltenham Place. The samples were then compared with data from other sites in and around Chicago. The report shows the Southeast Side is overburdened with air pollution when compared with other parts of the city, but it's below the EPA's long-term health benchmark for concern. I don't know what the benchmark is if it's waiting for people to cough up their lungs.
What we're witnessing here is, again, environmental racism on the south side of Chicago and on the west side of Chicago. The sad fact is that when we look at these industrial facilities, they're predominantly built near neighborhoods and communities that have been struggling and that have a lack of funds from the city of Chicago. Now, the thing is, there is a thing called the TIF funds where these poor, low-income communities can be funded properly. But again, through negligence, through corruption, our political machine is more than happy to build industrial facilities to basically, pollute communities. And what this is a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, pollution, dangerous to anyone living in these areas, but on the other hand too, this is a way to help gentrify neighborhoods in which people get displaced. And then when the neighborhoods and the housing and the land is all bought up by corporate people or individuals that have a lot of money, then they clean up the area and then make the neighborhood look nice and then move the quote-unquote right people inside, so that way the city's no longer, represented by, I guess, what the city would deem bad people. But see, the thing is that when we look at environmental racism, it's a tool for gentrification. And this is something that this industrial facility is doing, the Matt Asphalt plant, and numerous other facilities on the south side of Chicago and the west side of Chicago. And again, this is impacting the soil, the air, and the water. And for anyone that moves into these areas that do eventually get gentrified, a little heads up, that pollution is going to be there for quite some time. And from last I checked, the city of Chicago, when it comes down towards protecting its citizens to make sure it has clean drinking water, there's still lead in our drinking water and other dangerous metals that are in our drinking water. So this is a long-term problem, and everyone's going to get hurt. And environmental racism, like I said before, is a tool for gentrification.
Kit, we're getting some sound leak on your end. I don't know if someone's in the Twitch room. It's a little bit loud, and it's kind of bleeding in to your audio feed. Is there any way to maybe bring that down on that end? I'm not sure if Phase is operating things or.
We will try and work that out. Unfortunately, okay. I thought I could do it in my radio room, but there was no chance. My phone was not working properly, and well, here I am. So there's other stuff going on in the studio. Okay, no problem. Yeah. Just letting people know in the live chat, they were asking about it, and it's just we have to deal with it. It's not a big deal. I can still hear Kit pretty clearly. We'll just have to deal with a little bit of the background noise. So. Yeah.
Arturo, pollution needs to be regulated by the law and not by committee, and whoever is causing dangerous pollution should go to prison. So the article goes on to say the levels of metal in the air were below the EPA's benchmark, but in the last 3 years, an uptick in the level of particulate matter was registered, Siegel said. I want to assure you that our agency is partnering with other agencies to investigate this and find out why this is happening. I don't know what other agencies are more powerful than the EPA, so that's very, very troubling. Residents complained about the methods and findings shared in the report. Malia Geertsma, member of the Natural Resources Defense Council, said that she was disappointed by the lack of contextualization of the report. The monitors used for the report are extremely limited, she said, as they only measure the air quality of certain communities, and it didn't examine health impacts on the air quality, which you would imagine has to be a component in the final findings. The report only considered a limited number of pollutants, and it didn't gauge the combined impact of being exposed to all the pollutants at once, Geertsma said. We need to acknowledge that the pollution levels in this community are some of the highest in Chicago. We already know this. I mean, we whether it was that all of that asbestos that was released in the air when they decided to demolish that factory silo, or all the crap that's coming out of Mad Asphalt smokestacks and General Iron's relocation. We need to acknowledge that the pollution levels in this community are some of the highest in Chicago, and if the CDPH is going to comply with its civil rights obligations to address pollution disparities, we have to be honest about that. Several other participants shared their concerns for the lack of consideration to the combined cumulative impact adding another metal shredder would cause. Reverend Matthew Zamanek, community chaplain of the Southeast Environmental Task Force, said experts they work with disagree with the report's findings. We have scholars that work with us with different studies that have disagreed with the analysis presented here, Zamanek said. The panelists said that they'll consider a different format for the next meetings in accordance with the feedback and the complaints of some of the participants that said that the webinar didn't leave enough space for residents' voices. Imagine that. They don't want to hear from the residents. They're just going to, again, it's like by committee. It's like what Arturo just said down here. Regulated by the law and not by committee. Absolutely. The next meetings on the findings will be held 5 to 7 p.m. December 2nd. Updates will be posted here. A link on the page. The third session is expected to be scheduled January 22, and the final health input assessment is expected to be released later this month. So you know what's going to happen, Kit? Nothing's going to change, and you're going to see more and more the mortality rate in these neighborhoods rise because of the shitty air that everybody's breathing and choking on, is what I fear is going to be happening.
What we're also going to witness, too, is a rise in people getting different types of ailments. Most notably, cancer will be one of them. And as well as breathing problems, mental health issues will be a problem because, again, with these chemicals, with these pollutants, they impact the human body in different ways, through respiratory issues, through mental health, through cardiac problems as well. And the thing is, the city knows about it. But the thing is, Mayor Lightfoot had the audacity to actually put in someone like Alderman Cardenas, who, again, takes money or knows and has connections to people with the Mad Asphalt plant, but yet he is the head of Chicago's EPA. Interesting world we're living in.
Oh, connect the dots. Arturo says, and he's right about this, if there had been a tragic disaster-type meltdown at 3 Mile Island in 79, there would have been a liability and criminal action and pollution law overhaul. But until some pollution disaster happens, nothing will change, not even Flint can change the laws. If anything you would think would change the laws, it would have been Flint. If anything you would think change the argument for Medicare for all, it would be this pandemic. But we're through the looking glass where logic doesn't seem to factor into anything anymore.
Well, if we look at Flint, Michigan, again, it's a major area filled with a lot of residents who are dealing with lead poisoning. But if we just look at the city of Chicago, a major metropolitan city, there is also lead in our drinking water, dangerous levels of lead and other dangerous heavy metals and pollutants that are in our drinking water. And yet our city isn't doing a damn thing about it. Mayor Rahm Emanuel's administration turned a blind eye to it, as is Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration is turning a blind eye to it. They know about the problems. They're just choosing to ignore it because that's how the city is. And that's how these politicians are. So even a major metropolitan city like Chicago, we have lead in our water, and yet that's still not enough to cause our politicians to actually get off their butts and do a damn thing about it.
They're too busy renaming streets, Kit.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Priorities. I nearly forgot priorities.
I was talking about Moore last show and how he's complaining that Lightfoot's new budget isn't giving enough to his neighborhood. It's like, how many millions did you decide to waste on your little pet project when those millions could have gone into your community, right? Yep. Here you
Again.
go, Joe Moore, Alderman Moore.
There, right there, like that.